every employer in this room, whether you're a trade union or an employer or SAA, that Leon refers to flying over our heads, costing us 5 billion rand a year, you're going to have to deal with equal treatment. I think the real problem with equal treatment, everyone assumes you're going upwards. And I'm saying that assumption must be categorically wrong. So in the debate around employment equity, Neddy touched on that. I had to muzzle my mouth knowing that I'd have the last word in respect to this particular matter. But equal treatment does not necessarily mean you're going up. It might mean you might be going down. Because ultimately you want to pay for performance. And in all my interactions with Dennis and his particular trade union and trade union organizations and affiliates, they've been quite willing to negotiate and discuss the issue of productivity. Because they realize unless you have productivity, none of this makes any sense. Unless you're competitive, someone wants your product, someone wants your services, you can do whatever you want, you can have whatever national minimum wage you want, but you're going to go out of business. The Employment Equity Act amendments of the 1st of August 2014, which say, and I'll show you the clauses now, you may not discriminate on race, sex, color, religion, or any other arbitrary ground, and you may not differentiate on any term or condition of employment. And if you do, and that differentiation is sex, color, religion, or arbitrary, then that is discrimination. So that's been the big rise. 1st of August 2014, applicable to all employees. All of a sudden, in terms of Section 6.4, you've got rights. Of course, we've got the regulations and we've got the Code of Good Practice. And I've summarized some of the justifications for differential in pay. We're doing the same work, exactly the same job, but we pay differently because, for instance, of seniority or length of service, or because of qualifications, ability, or competence, or performance ability, or I've been demoted and you haven't adjusted my pay, or there's a temporary position for me to gain experience, some type of learning position, or there's a shortage of skills. So we've paid a technical person more than Johnny in this organization in order to attract him. We talked about employment equity earlier on. So for African females, you could pay a premium. Okay? So any African female in this room, give me your CV, we can get a premium for you. I'm only joking. But there's a premium. If you're trying to attract talent to get your employment equity numbers right, you're going to pay a premium. But the reality of fact is you can pay that premium, and paying that premium for a shortage of skill or a shortage of people in that category is a justification, so says the regulations, the Code of Good Practice. There's a market value difference, you can pay it. So in Durban, we pay people generally less than we pay in Gauteng. But there aren't these walls between what's confidential or not, and I don't believe you'd ever be able to dismiss a person for disclosing to Mary, that's my particular salary, here it is. I don't think that would be a dismissal offense, no matter what your policies and procedures say. So we have that general stuff and those regulations coming out, the Employment Equity Act, and we see 300 to 400 cases going to the CCMA every single month on unfair discrimination, Section 6.4. But the reality of the fact is, the Employment Equity Act applies to everyone. The Labour Relations Act Amendment 1st of January only applies to temporary employment services, fixed-term contracts, and part-time employees. So Woolworths has got part-time employees. It's the last case. I've gone to the last slide. They've got full-time employees, some 700 of them, and some 6,500 part-time employees. 2012, they see this legislation coming, being negotiated at NEDLAC, and they say we've got to move our full-time employees to part-time because there's different terms and conditions of employment, and the part-timers are going to demand the same conditions of employment as the full-timers. Because this Labour Relations Act Amendment, 1st of January 2015, affects part-timers, temporary employment services, and fixed-term contracts earning 205,433 per annum. If they earn less than that, they get this protection. Of course, the section says you can differentiate, I think, for all those factors on the left-hand side of the page, and specifically Section 198, experience, length of service, merit, quality, or any other factor that's not sex, race, color, religion, or arbitrary. So that's what Woolworths does. Some 70-odd people don't take the retrenchment, and then Woolworths retrenches them in 2013 and dismisses them. It comes before the Labour Court last week, the judgment came out, and they say, no, Woolworths, that retrenchment is unfair of those 70 people. And what the Labour Court does, it affirms a principle I've been teaching and we've been implementing, Natalie, for the last 3 years. The union argues that there are alternatives to retrenching those 70 full-time employees who didn't want to accept the alternative to part-time employment. And the alternative was you ring-fence them. You said those 70 employees are an anomaly, and we'll phase them out through natural attrition. I've been telling employers that's exactly what you do with differentials. And this Woolworths case actually supports that. Woolworths loses the retrenchment, and they have to reinstate those employees on the basis that there were alternatives. And Sakau argues that the alternative was ring-fencing those full-timers and phasing them out over a period of time. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the scope and this is the terrain. There's been a huge interest in equal treatment coming out of this slide. Employment Equity Act amendments, 1st of August 2014, and the Labour Relations Act amendments, 1st of January 2015. You don't have to get rid of your temporary employment service employees. You don't have to get rid of your part-timers, Woolworths. And you don't have to get rid of your contract employees. You just have to make sure that you justify those particular cases because those employees have got extra protection, one of them being equal treatment.